solution for the society is in the favor of that proportion, or the ratio is in favor of the society, it becomes a social enterprise. When it is in the favor of personal profit, personal gains, personal benefits, then it says it is business enterprise. So we are also generating little surplus or the profit in social enterprise, but the concern is more for solving the problems of the society rather than earning profit or exploiting for individual benefits. So any social enterprise, Arvind Eye Care, Jaipur Food, okay, these are all social enterprises. They are looking at the people's problems rather than generating surplus or exploiting the opportunities. Yeah, this, I like this. Let me read it for you. It is not the critic who counts. So entrepreneurship is not about only quantitative goals. How much profit, how much surplus, how much top line, how much bottom line, growth. No, it's not that. Nor the observer who watches from a safe distance. Wealth is created only by doers in the arena who are marred with dirt, dust, blood and sweat. These are producers who strike out on their own. On their own means independent. Who know high highs and low lows. So it is not a smooth ride, it is full of bumpy rides. Without exceptions, they fail more than they succeed. And appreciate this reality even before venturing out on their own. But when these producers of wealth fail, they at least fail with style and grace. And their gut soon recognizes that failure is only a resting place, not a place in which to spend a lifetime. Their places will never be with those nameless souls who know neither victory nor defeat, who receive weekly paychecks regardless of their week's performance, who are hired hands in the labor in someone else's garden. These doers are producers, and no matter what their lot is at any given moment, they will never take a place beside the takers. For theirs is a unique place alone under the sun. They are entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs are quite independent. They are not just satisfied with receiving benefits, paybacks without doing anything. Okay? We would not have seen any entrepreneur who would not have failed even once. Entrepreneurs, failure, success are part and parcel of entrepreneurial career. I'll give you two examples. One example of Mr. Sushil Handa. Anybody has heard this name? Sushil Handa, Core Healthcare. No. 88 Core Healthcare under the leadership of Mr. Sushil Handa came up with a new product, making IV fluids available in plastic bottles. Until then, IV fluids, injections, these were coming only in the glass bottle. This is general law of risk rewards. Risk is low, reward is low, risk is higher, reward is higher. This is what it is. So risk keeps on increasing. When you move towards novelty, newness, change, newer product, newer systems, newer customers, newer markets, you are trying out something different. Sorry. Please.
This is with regard to the slide where you said some entrepreneurs or those who have suspicious mind with regards to somebody stealing my idea.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that in an environment like that of India? IP is very difficult to protect and duplication is very rampant. So how do you encourage?
In fact, earlier product life cycle used to be very long. So people were not caring much about that. I mean, look at when television came into the world and when television came to our country, or the computers. It took decades for a technology to be invented somewhere or launched in US or developed countries and be available in our own country. Product life cycle used to be quite long. Today, product life cycle is shortened, and that's why the importance of this IP has also increased. So one way, while you are going to a banker, you have to make everything known to him so that he or she, banker or investor funds, But at the same time, you would not like to reveal everything. It's a dicey situation, it's a difficult situation, easier said than done. But you have to have something which in stages you reveal. Once there is some commitment, first stage, some information which is required, barely required for him or her to commit or show principal interest. And then gradually you can go, and when that documentation is done, signing is done, and you have that confidence, then maybe you can talk about the processes, etc. This is one. In case of intrapreneurship, again it is very relevant. It's a very, very relevant question that you have asked. When we are talking that we have to own the organization and do something of your own. And as an entrepreneur, if I am grooming, developing my team, my key people, and I'm revealing everything, and tomorrow because of some reason, if they leave the organization and they set up something else, then what happens to my secrets, my processes? So there is a concept again similar to what I advised to you in case of entrepreneur. This is called walling off. Walling off. Without creating a physical wall, you create a wall which is psychological in nature. Again, keeping very important processes, functions to you and your very, very trusted people only. Like you would not see in most of the Gujarati Marwadi businesses, the finance function being handled by anybody outside the family. So that is the essence. It is the Atma of that business. So unless you have that kind of confidence, move very, very carefully. Same thing happens about the IP also. So that is a reality. Yeah. Relationship with risk and innovation. Generally, it is assumed that innovativeness is directly correlated with risk taking. Okay? Doing more innovative things means taking higher risk and vice versa. But what it says that in reality the relationship is more complex. On one hand, higher the innovation, higher the risk. If it pays off, you can make a lot of money. But if it doesn't succeed, world over, what is the proportion of venture finance companies succeeding? All those ventures that they support, in about 90% ventures, they fail. 90% ventures, they fail. Hardly succeed in about 10%, 10, 12%. Very, very optimistic would not be more than 15%. But this 10, 15% success is sufficient enough to compensate for the losses of remaining 85, 90%. But it only says that innovation is risky. What this says that while innovation is risky, at the same time, no innovation is equally risky. So risk is high when companies do not innovate. Risk is also high when companies engage in breakthrough innovation. Both. Look at it. Look at this. Innovation and risk. Innovativeness, it is high, and risk is also high. This is called home run strategy. When companies come up with breakthrough innovations that create new market and redefine industries is referred as home run strategy. Very, very innovative. Make or break kind of risk. It doesn't mean that it's always very, very consistent that high risk, high innovation, high risk, and low innovation is low risk. It can be much more futile or much more risky also. I'll look at here. This is discontinuous, high risk, okay? And again, it is not that low. It is risk is high here, okay? Can you name any company or any product which has been very innovative, and the risk was very high? Or any company or the product where innovation was very low and they equally incurred a high risk? Maybe in the next session I will give you some example, but you can also think of. Sorry? 3M is what? Where? Where do you put 3M? High innovation, yes. 3M, yes. Sorry? Shanta Biotech? Okay, yeah, that's right. Nokia, where is Nokia? Low risk, yeah. No risk, yeah. No innovation. No innovation. And it has, where is the company? 5 years ago, probably it was one of the most popular brands.
Kodak.
Yeah, Kodak.
Classic example.
Classic example. Yeah, that's right. So this is discontinuous, high breakthrough innovation. These are the examples. This is what you call middle of the road phenomena. Okay, continuous innovation and imitation innovation. Kodak is there. I'll give you an example. Do you think that innovation is always successful and imitation is always bad? There are two kinds of enterprises or two kinds of product. One is innovative, other is imitative. And for a country like ours, or developing countries, which cannot afford high R&D cost, imitation also serves a purpose. Imitation also serves the purpose. What is Pfizer's R&D budget? Any idea? Pfizer's R&D budget close to about, almost 1.5 times the total pharmaceutical market in India. Total pharmaceutical market in India would not be more than 80,000 crore. And I'm including generic, bulk, Ayurvedic, homeopathic, Unani, whatever, allopathic, put together. Not more than 80,000 crore. And Pfizer's R&D budget, just R&D budget, itself is more than 120,000 crores.
The patents are there, no?
Yeah.
Any pharma company
So
patents.
that's why I'm telling that for developing countries, imitation also serves a purpose. But imitation not just copying, but value addition by proper, proper value addition or proper extension or expansion, or what they say, collaboration, tie-ups, strategic tie-ups with those innovators. These are two entrepreneurial risks. One is called sinking the boat risk, other is called missing the boat risk. And this is total risk. And total risk is a function of SBR and MBR. This is SBR and MBR. Sinking the boat risk is when entrepreneur wants to launch a product, has done his analysis, maybe conducted market survey, maybe consulted experts, and launched the product, but the product was not successful in the market and lost the money. He or she lost the money. So boat is sunk. My money is gone to the drains. That is sinking the boat risk. Other is, I wanted to launch the product. I did my homework, did my survey, consulted the experts, but in the meantime spent too much time. Couldn't take a decision on time, and another person came, launched the product, similar product, which eventually became successful. So I missed the boat. Now the adverse impact of sinking the boat risk will be felt immediately in first year itself on the balance sheet, because whatever money he would have invested in survey, product development, all he would have lost. But gradually over a period of time can recover from the losses. Whereas missing the boat risk, immediately there not be much loss except for some preparatory exercises. But if the product is not launched, every time the competitor makes a profit, he or she will feel the pinch. So eventually in the long run, missing the boat risk is more dangerous for entrepreneur than sinking the boat risk. Do you agree with that? Any example anybody can cite? Sinking the boat risk and missing the boat risk? Sorry? Orkut and Facebook? Orkut closed down, Yeah? Xerox and Canon. Xerox is the market leader. Yeah, that's right. What else? Sinking the boat risk and missing the boat risk. Sorry? Hotmail versus Gmail. Okay.
Yahoo also. Any Indian companies that you know?
Lot of Indian companies are there. Lot of Indian companies are there. Sinking the boat risk itself. Some company, some organization trying to be the first mover, front mover, but eventually didn't have enough resources and failed. So while it is desirable that we are front mover to have first mover advantage, but if we do not have enough preparation, we will ultimately be proved to be a futile R&D ground for my competitors, our competitors. Which company launched first pocket calculator? Which company launched first microcomputers?